evening. Nice to see all your faces. We are going to have our Easton Park budget meeting and town hall. So we'll do the budget first. And that's really just a board meeting, so we don't take questions during that time. We'll close that, and then we'll have the town hall. We'll do our presentation of all the different things. There's a lot of slides. So save your questions to the end, please, because we don't want to repeat ourselves or slow you down. Everybody's got it on time frame. So very likely we'll cover your question, but if we get to the very end and we didn't, that's when we want to get the questions, okay? So I'll let the guys go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Did you want to do introductions first?
So anyway, go ahead and next one. So what we have here is Brookfield Residential Development Team, and they are also the board. The board of directors is Matt Chase, who is the regional vice president, AJ Zorn, who's the director of land. On the computer is Armando Rueda, who is the development manager. And on her way is Elizabeth Rotzinger. She's got caught in traffic, so you'll see her scooch in and sit down next to Matt when she gets here. But she's the marketing manager. So your Brookfield development team is Mike McMillan, who's the vice president of land, Matt, who's also the vice president of community association, and AJ, who's the director of land. All that. The next one. So I am Pauline Specht. I'm your executive director. Paul Cardenas is actually in the office managing about 2 different screens to make sure everything runs smoothly. He is the director of community engagement. Our new person, which you'll get to meet a little bit more in the future here in further slides, is Danielle Cerrone. She's our community engagement manager. Angie Castro is your operations manager. John LaRoe, who is not here, is the facilities manager. Those guys work very early. So if I don't have to make them come to something, I trust them. And then Chris Sendall is the communities standards coordinator. That's the guy that you get ACC requests from and violation notices, that kind of stuff. So moving on to the next one.
Board meeting.
Board meeting.
All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:33. We have quorum and the meeting notice was posted. We're going to go ahead and remove item 3. We don't have board meeting minutes. These are actually annual meeting minutes, which the annual meeting is when we approve annual meeting minutes, not at the board meeting. So that'll happen in February of next year. So we'll just skip and move straight up to the budget. Colleen?
Based on actuals from September and then extrapolated out to the end of the year. We put them in categories. So the first one is your revenue, which what revenue brought in, that's assessments and property transfers, programs through engagement, different things that would bring money in for you guys. And so that ended up to be about $2,203,958. So that's a very big number. It's great. Total expenses is your next category. It shows administration.
And there's an error on your summation down there. It is wrong. Yeah. You matched 2025. So the total expenses is $3,211,678 for 2024.
So then you got your expenses, and then the end result is a loss, but that is subsidized by your developer. Okay, so and then when we go to the right side, this is your budget that is up for approval right now. And it's going to go, the assessments are going to go from $64 a month to $71 a month, which is a 10% increase. Still ending up in the end with a bit of a loss. So that is subsidized again by the developer. So with the board here, I would like to see if you want to.
So just so everybody understands, and that's why there's important to point out the big difference year over year in expenses, right? We're not matching expenses and then all of a sudden our revenue is going up. Your expenses are going up almost $1 million year over year. So why is that? We just opened Skyline Park. So Skyline Park next year is going to be the full year of maintaining a $15 million park that the developer put into the ground this year. It's expensive, right? It's expensive to maintain that beautiful amenity that everybody here gets to enjoy. We also installed, the developer also installed multiple other parks within the neighborhood, so those costs go up. So most of this increase, I think about 700,000 or 800,000 of the year-over-year increase is just landscaping alone. So we have to increase assessments so that one, we can close that gap. You notice that subsidy numbers going up. That subsidy number should be going down. As the community starts to get more residents, the subsidy number should be going down, not, we're going the wrong way right now. So this year we need to take a big swing at it and do a 10% increase, just to match what the year-over-year expense increase was. So that's kind of where we're at and why we're having to do such a big swing this year. Typically, I like to say in Easton Park, you're going to see about half of that, about 5% increase, and I think that's pretty much where it's been. I'm looking at some of the folks that have been here for a while. It's been between 5 and 6% year over year. So this year, it is going to require a larger swing. So with that said, any other questions from the board? All right. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2025 budget.
Second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Armando? You hear him through here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, he said aye. All right, motion passes. And I think that's it for our board meeting. Go ahead and adjourn the board meeting at 6:38.
And now, I'm gonna read this because I like to read the nice stuff here. She is actually our new engagement manager, so she actually has a real passion for creating memorable experiences. She's gonna lead the events and the clubs and bring some fresh ideas and new ways for residents to connect and engage. We've already seen what a great job she did with Wicked Walk. That was a very big project that she jumped into and helped us out with, so that went over very well. She's originally from Houston and lived in Austin for over 10 years. She went to the University of Texas, Looking Horns. She's both fluent in French and Spanish. I didn't know the French. I knew the Spanish. So, inspired by her parents' adventurous spirit, Danny is eager to create spaces where residents feel seen, heard, and celebrated at Easton. She looks forward to bringing many, many joyful memories to all of you. I can tell she's got a great passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
Great addition to the team. So with that, I'm gonna let her take over this portion because this is the talks about engagement. So she can give a little talk. You got a microphone there too, Danny?
Yes. Yes, so it is so great to see all of your faces in person, and I so look forward to seeing y'all more and more as our events continue to go on and our community continues to grow. So I just want to thank everyone for your welcoming spirit. I definitely feel the Easton Park pride. It's very palpable throughout the community, and I hope to just continue to make y'all proud to be a part of this community. So I want to highlight some of the engagement numbers for the year 2024. So on the screen, you'll see up here, we have our total sponsorships and in-kind donations collected for this year. That number totals $25,775. So these are funds that we are working directly with our community partners. And our hope there is to essentially alleviate the costs on the associations with that. So we got a big chunk this year and hope to continue to grow that year over year with continued support through our partners and vendors. Now, moving on to our donations to Del Valley ISD and other nonprofits, that totaled $10,000 this year. And those funds go directly to our nonprofit partners and specifically with Del Valley ISD to fund important initiatives that they have going on, such as teacher luncheons, also their scholarship programs that impact not just Newton Collins here on site, but other schools in the district. So we love Del Valley ISD and our other nonprofit partners. Again, hope to continue to grow that and have that philanthropic leg partnership in our events as well. Moving on to community partner programs and classes. We have about 75 of those, and you'll know some of these for those who are very involved on site, like our partners such as Optimize Daily, EP Sports Academy. They'll have some reoccurring classes and such, so that is where that number comes from. And then our community club gatherings, we had about 141 of those this year. So yes, and especially for those who maybe are OG residents, yeah, I'm sure you've seen a lot more activity going on, and we hope that just continues to grow as well. Our community life team hosted events, those are going to be your things like Wicked Walk, if you were with us this past October, our Great Autumn Gathering, Roots and Wings and such. We had 30 of those this year, and that includes a couple that are still coming through the end of the year. And our community partner hosted events, those totaled 17. And these are ones that our community partners, actually, it's in the name, that they hosted, right? So things like Optimize Daily, they are run by two residents. Y'all may know them, Jen and Latif, and they do something called a turkey trot on the morning of Thanksgiving. So think things of that nature where they have our support, of course, but they are actually, the initiative comes from our partners. So with that, we are looking to increase that partnership, as I continue to say, not only in the sense of the community partners that we work with, but also with residents. We are always so eager to hear from y'all. We genuinely care about the feedback on what would you like to see within this community. And to that, we actually have a few resident initiatives that ended up turning into events this year. So if y'all remember the eclipse, the Great Eclipse, that was actually a resident idea that came to us. And so with resident support, we are so eager to back that and just make these things happen. The neighborhood bake and craft sale that happened this past weekend, that was also a resident-led initiative. And then we have the others that happened this year. It's so crazy to think because I know everything kind of feels like a blur at the end of the year, but Skyline Park did open this year. If anyone attended that great event in May. And then as I highlighted, Roots and Wings, we just had in the beginning of this month, we have our Great Autumn Gathering, which I certainly hope to see many of your faces there this weekend. Wicked Walk in October. This is one of our signature events, and the scale of it continues to just increase year over year. It was a great success this past year, and we're looking forward to continuing to build that event out as well. And then we have our Polar Bear Plunge, Movies in the East, and other fun reoccurring ones that you'll notice. And in the next slide, we'll highlight, in fact, a few more that we have coming up through the end of this year. So as I mentioned, Great Autumn Gathering, that is this Saturday from 12 to 2, and it will be taking place at the Great Lawn Pavilion, which is just right over here, out overlooking the pond. So we would love to see you there. And we have our turkey trot also in November. As I mentioned, that is run by Optimize Daily, Jen and Latif. They will do a run in the morning, and they are accepting donations on behalf of Del Valley ISD, I believe specifically Newton Collins PTA. So we would love your support if you're not able to attend in person, but a great philanthropic leg to that event. you'll see. And then in December, we have Easton Made, which is a great event done in partnership with Brookfield. So for those of you who don't know that event, it is a holiday extravaganza, and it takes place right over here, just down on Model Home Row. And each of the model homes has their own separate activation, and they'll have a fun holiday, themed activity going on. And then outside in the street, we'll have different vendors. So it'll be a vendor market. And these are predominantly resident-owned businesses. So we definitely love the idea of, for Eastonites, or run by Eastonites, for Eastonites. So we love kind of keeping that spirit of the community alive even within this event. And we've been working closely with Allison and her team on that. They have been doing an amazing job creating a great event for y'all. So hope to see you there. That's going to be Saturday, December 7th. Also on December 7th, I'm kind of jumping down here, but we have the We Are Blood Drive. We Are Blood is the local nonprofit community blood bank. And so anyone who is able to donate blood, we encourage you to come out and join us. They will have their mobile blood bus out here in the Union, and you can schedule an appointment or just show up. That's fine too. And you can come to me. I can help get you scheduled as well. It's something I'm very passionate about. So yes, come talk to me if you want to participate. A couple of other events, the Pearl Mobile Teeth Whitening will also be on site here at the Union, and Storytime in the Park by Austin Public Library. This is great because this is actually going to be our first event where we're partnering with Austin Public Library. So we're very excited to do that in tandem with them. And that will also be taking place on the 6th at Skyline Park. And then we have our last First Friday food truck of the year, if you can believe it, because the year is almost over, which is crazy. But that will be Friday, December 6th, so just in a few weeks, and we'll have Downtown Burgers here on site. And then in January, again, crazy that I'm mentioning it, but 2025 is around the corner. And so on the 1st, we'll do the Polar Plunge, and that will happen here on site at the pool. So for anyone who remembers it last year, and we actually had a photo of it in the previous slide. So yes, again, and any details for any of these events specifically, you can find them in Enumerate in the calendar entry. You'll see the date, time, location, all that good stuff. But any questions, you can certainly field them to myself or Paul. Again, we're eager to see all your faces at each of these events, and any ideas that you have, we would love to hear them, would love to support those initiatives that are near and dear to your hearts. And, just continue to see that participation grow, especially with the clubs too. We had some highlighted with the 50 plus Trailblazers tribe that we have. They do great things, playing different games every week. And we have our New Moms Club, which I feel like is another great one that gets a lot of traction. So as our community continues to grow, we really hope to continue to match the spirit that lives within. So thank you for your support, and looking forward to another great year of events together.
It's open. Okay, we haven't done a grand opening or anything like that, but it is open. It's got pickleball courts, half court basketball, couple pads, a nice little spot that you can sit underneath and have a little snack or something. It looks like some kids down over the other day. It looks really cute. So if you haven't seen it, go take a look. Next slide. So this is just I wanted to, a lot of times you go, oh, HOA dues are going up. What do we pay for? Okay. I wanted to show you some of the stuff that you pay for. These are just some of the things. These are highlights. Certainly doesn't encompass everything of the things that we've done this last year to help improve the facilities and keep things looking good. And, it takes a lot of maintenance to make sure things stay in good working condition and saves you guys money in the long run. So we had both ADA pool lifts had to be relocated and repaired. There are signs on them now. We want to be sure that we don't want the kids jumping up and down on them. That kind of helped with the problem. So make sure that, don't let the little ones jump on there, okay? The courtyard pool door was changed to glass, which is very pretty. The trash throughout the community has been greatly reduced, which I've heard from many residents as well. Irrigation water leaks were less than they were in 2023, so that's good. We're staying on top of those leaks, and that you guys help with that. So if you see anything, if you see a gusher somewhere coming from a sprinkler head, please let us know right away. We really appreciate it when you tell us about that. Drainage improvements were made on the DG path as well as right next to it. I went over there the other day, a lot of rock, because this area here used to get a lot of flooding, standing water, right? So they put a lot of rocks in there and some drainage to help with that, so that doesn't occur. And then the DG path was redone, and we put in a couple of big pipes to run underneath the path so that the water transfers from one area to the other, so it doesn't get all wet out there, okay? Gym repairs, we went in there and really worked with Optimize, and they gave me some suggestions and things that they've heard from residents as far as what they liked and they didn't like. So we made some adjustments and made some more rooms. One of the rowers died on us, so we're saving it for parts and decided, you know what, let's get something new. This piece of machinery, if you guys haven't tried to get this Concept 2 skier, is very good for a lot of stuff. It's very good for therapy too. So if you have an issue with the shoulder or whatever going on, that's really good for therapy. Okay, next. And then this is my focus this year. You may not be aware, but fences need to be restained at least every 4 years. And I think it's gone a little bit longer in a couple spots. So I went out and took some pictures. And you can see from my little unhappy face, that's a problem right there. Those are stained fences. So just remember that residents are responsible for your fence. Okay, you need to make sure that you're getting that restained, clean, taken care of every 4 years at least. We do have specific colors, which will give that to you, for depending on what area you're living in, they need to be. So make sure you always ask. If you're gonna just make it the same color, you're not changing anything, you don't have to get an ACC, you don't have to submit a request. But if you ever have a question, ask first. It's much better to ask first than find out later that you can't do that, right? And then what I'm gonna start doing is we're going out, me and the facilities guys and the ACC guy, and we're gonna start looking at all the different sections, especially the ones that are looking bad at first. We'll be sending out a little note to the resident, say, hey, gotta do the fence, and we'll give a little time, a little courtesy note, but eventually if that doesn't get taken care of, the HOA has the ability to go and take care of it and charge it to them. So it has to be done. What I am doing too is I did this in another community. I'm trying to find a vendor, a good fence guy, a good fence staining guy, because not everybody wants to be Mr. Fix-It or Mrs. Fix-It and go out there and do it themselves. So I'm gonna see if I could find a really good person that maybe would give us, okay, if I can give you 20 people that want to do their fence at the same time, maybe they can give us a good deal. So more to come on that, but in the meantime, start looking at those, take a look at your fences and see what you need to do, because they need to look like the one with the happy face. Okay. Next slide. So we asked for town hall questions and we got quite a few. A couple of them were very specific, so we addressed those directly with that homeowner. I got quite a few that had to do with security. So I actually, we're not the police, right? So it's best for us to go to the professionals on stuff like this. So I asked Paul to take all those questions that you guys sent, send them to our contact at Travis County for the sheriffs, so that they're aware. I want them to be aware right away, because a lot of times they tell us, people don't report it. They'll tell us, or they'll tell each other through Facebook, but they don't report it, and you need to report it to the police. Okay, so if you hear something, please report it, because that gets their attention, and that gets more attention here. But they're putting together a program. They're going to come out. They're going to let you guys know about all. They're going to actually run reports that show what the statistics are, which is good to know, and then also ways that things can be made safer. Plus, I'd love to see you guys get like a neighborhood watch, maybe. They're doing it in UPW, they told me, and it works very well. So that's a good idea. So that's coming up as soon as I get a date. You want to do it before the end of the year, so it's coming soon. And actually, there are some other road questions too coming up, which AJ did look over some of them, and he's going to address a few of those. But I've been working also with the called the Travis County Transportation and Natural Resources. They're the ones that you reach out to and say, hey, I really think you ought to have a stop sign here or a road thing here or whatever. It's by the county, so we really have to deal with the county. And I've sent them things and they go, yeah, we're working on that. You know, we got to do our little survey on that. They have their rules, how they want to do stuff. So I said, you know, what would be nice is if we had somebody from there to tell you guys exactly what they do and kind of the situation that, how it goes and how you get things done. So I've got two guys. One is the engineer that I've been talking to and his friend who are going to be doing a 30-minute presentation. It's going to be online and they're going to send us all the information for Teams and I'll send it out to you guys so you have it. 30 minutes presentation of what they do and then a 30-minute questions and answers. And he told me that the guy that's coming with him is actually working on a lot of those issues that are in this project right here. So he'll have more of an update for you on specifics. So, and that I did get confirmed it's going to be the 11th. I just found out before I walked in. So it's going to be the 11th of December, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, but I'll send out more info on that. Excellent. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to AJ Zorn, and he's going to field some of those questions he had brought to him. So let him do his thing. And when we get to the end, we can ask for any extra questions.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Normally have a lot of pictures of all the stuff that we've done within the last quarter. But we've shared with that as we've gone on. I mean, just in the last 6 months or a shade over it, we opened Skyline Park, and then we also opened 3 other signature parks throughout the different neighborhoods, Prospect, Union Park, and Pilot Park. All of those have opened. We started, building homes at Balboa Park, which is on that south side of Apogee. We're building in the Pilot Park. We, opened our second section inside Pilot Park to expand that. And then Prospect, it's a lot of lots all at once. So right now is a slow season for us about what we're actually out there doing. It's because we've done so much kind of over in the last 6 months. So I do want to address the questions that were sent here. If y'all come to town hall with me before, I try to shoot you as straight as possible. So there's a couple of these things that we'll go over again. We've kind of answered these questions many times, but I think it's always a new audience in some regards. So we're going to go over a few things just to kind of explain where we are on these different things. With commercial update, the commercial businesses come to us when they want to. I think there's a perception that we have a menu and we choose and then we call them up and we bring them here. And that's not how it works. It kind of works in the back or in the reverse order. So when they want to be here, they'll come. Trust me, we are on the phone with everyone. We are trying to bring as much out here as we can. We do get offers that we pass up because it's quite frankly things that we don't think fit here that aren't up to what our standards are right now in 24. So we're looking out for y'all, and we are pushing that as much as possible to get people out here and spreading the good news of what Easton Park is, what our residents bring, what our incomes are, all those kinds of things. So we're actively pursuing that. But it's one of those where we're gonna push as much as possible, but we have to let the market come to us. That's the order of operations of how it works here. Local businesses, either like if you're talking about a P. Terry's or an Amy's ice cream or a Hat Creek or something like that. Yes, we're in contact with those people. They fall in that category I just mentioned of they're not quite ready to be out here yet. No one's given us a hard no, but it's always a not yet. And then some of the other local businesses, quite frankly, can't afford to be out here. And it's not because our price is so high. It's that expanding in Austin is hard in any place in Austin, the cost of it. So a lot of your smaller businesses just can't afford to necessarily open new stores and stuff. But again, we're open to that. We have local brokers that are reaching out and getting that done. So that's why you don't see those now, but we hope to, of course, bring those later in our development timeline. The lighting that's going to be in the commercial that's opening now, there's a question of like, is it going to be big and neon and stuff? It's going to be no more than what the CVS is now, which is expected in that kind of retail. So as far as what does it look like at night, if you drive by the CVS, that's what the rest of it's going to be there along on arterial. So along that line of the commercial, I keep pointing back this way. I always point exactly where things are. Some people just point in general directions. I always like that specifically. So it's the commercial that's sitting behind us. Frost Bank did have their grand opening on Tuesday, I believe. So I hope if you haven't been out there, even if you got another bank, go and say hi. And they're huge partners in the neighborhood. They have been for the last year. And so encourage you to go and check them out. AutoZone is looking to open on December 7th. This is the first ever green rated AutoZone because it's Austin required rules and they actually went a little bit above and beyond. So now that they're taking that to other AutoZones around town, around the country saying, hey, this is a new standard we can set. So we actually have something special there. I know people don't get excited about AutoZone. I'm excited about AutoZone. And as soon as you need them, you're going to be really excited about them. So anyway, they're here. McDonald's opening December 11th. Clearwater Car Wash after the beginning of the year. And then all the other tenants are going to start building out inside. I know the dentist office is, and a few others are starting to do some of the interior work. So within the next 60 days, all of them will be in some form of development. And by the next town hall, we will either have said they just opened or we'll have a clear picture of exactly when they're going to open. Alina is the apartment complex that's next to them. They have one of their buildings open and leasing it right now. But over the next, call it 6 months, all the rest of the buildings were open as well as their amenities. So they are leasing out a building right now. So there's one of those that's open. BB Living is the build to rent buildings that are down along Finial. Those are all framed up now. And so they're getting to where they're finishing their first units there. And then further down Finial is Nelson Village. That's a new condo product offering. They're getting ready to finish their models. They basically finished building them out, but they're doing the interior finishes and the furniture and stuff. So those models will be open for y'all to go check them out before the end of the year. We got a lot of questions about the medical office building. So the reason that Brookfield has not shared any of these details is because they have not closed on the property. And I'll give you a little bit of insight of how this works. They say they want to buy, they put up some money, and there's a long process of us all getting to the end of this marriage and them actually buying the property from us. In order for them to hit their financial goals, they like to start leasing out what they're planning to build so that they have people ready to move in whenever they actually get done building. So they get ahead of it. So Brookfield, because the sale is not complete, we don't share those kind of details. But as you can see, they advertised, this is what we're doing and we're looking for tenants. So that's on them. But I just want y'all to know that like it's not a definite thing until it's definite. So they're getting ahead, they're advertising that, but that's why you haven't seen a message come out of Brookfield that that's what's happening there because the sale is not actually final yet. We are zoned for mixed residential. We have a pre-zoning document called a PUD that was approved in 2016. And a majority of all of our land is mixed as zoned for mixed residential. So there's a question of like, are you zoned to do this? We are already, the entire 3,000 acres of Easton Park is zoned already. There's a question of why did we keep the Met Office secret? Y'all said something awesome was coming on that track, and why weren't you just honest with us? Like I said, this was only happened within this year that we got into agreement with those folks. And once we came to terms with those agreements, it's not our business to share until they want to share it because it's not final. So it wasn't anything that we were planning for the last years and not being honest with y'all at these townhomes. When I said 2 townhomes ago that we did not know was going there, I was telling y'all the truth because I don't sit here and lie to y'all. All right. So that is what the plan is there. We think it's going to be a big addition to the community. And where it's located is along William Cannon. So there's a question of why are we putting retail in these awful weird spaces? I will tell you all of our retail is going to sit either along William Cannon or Slaughter Lane or 183 because those are our large streets that go through our neighborhood. We're not going to stick them off in the middle of the neighborhood, but the Met Office building is makes a lot of sense of why it's there. Next slide.
Everybody kind of gets, right? William Cannon's a major road. If you drive down William Cannon, you'll see homes and commercial all the way down William Cannon. So the expectation should be it's going to be the same in Easton Park. William Cannon's pretty much spoken for and
Right.
built out at this point. So that's why it's a major thoroughfare in the city of Austin is William Cannon Drive. And then Slaughter will also again be a major thoroughfare, and then obviously 183. So
Right. Yep.
wait, go ahead. I was going to ask you to wait till the end, but go ahead.
No, it will come off of there, but I mean, positioning wise,
Yeah.
it sits on William Cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. On this side, yeah. So yes, Union Park is open. That was a question was asked. Was it open? Yes, Union Park is completely open at this point. Will there be more sports courts? Yes. Okay. We are working on exactly where and exactly when. So until I have those details, I don't like sharing them because I don't want to have to go back on what I say up here. So we're working through that right now. And as soon as we have more details on that, we'll do that. But yes, there will be more sports courts throughout Easton Park. We're working on that. The second amenity center, I purposely, this is cut and paste from the last 3 town halls, because it's the same answer. It's going to be located in the south. And we're going to start working on that to when people start moving into the first homes there, it's midway through construction and finishing up after there. So as that moves, that date is changing. But once you see us start constructing there, if you get a little bit of lead time after that for the houses to get built, that's when that second amenity is going to come on there. We're not going to go down to the south 3-4 years in advance of any homeowners living there and build that large amenity. So that's kind of the timing there. It's moving right now. As more as it gets firmed up, we'll share those details. Walkability around here is a focus. We have trails everywhere. The question said, besides your trails, what are you doing to address walkability? We have sidewalks on every single street, and you can't not mention our trails when you talk about it. As far as there being a town square with commercial that is nestled in it and stuff like that, that's not how commercial is going to be laid out here. Like I said, out here, it's going to be along the major arterials, but you can get on multiple sidewalks and through our trail system to all the stuff that exists now, to the CVS, to the new stuff that's coming on. So it's as walkable as we can possibly make it. Water quality and detention ponds. So we have these ponds out there that don't have water except for the 2 that are on either side of the union, right? Those are the only 2 ponds that have water. Those are the only 2 that we are allowed by the city of Austin. Everything else that you see out there is to filter water and then to hold it back so there's not a storm surge that then erodes the natural creekways. So it detains the water and it slowly releases it over time. Are they necessary? 100%. So that's one of the ways that we are a green neighborhood by doing this by code. It's required. We can't not build the neighborhoods without those. They require regular maintenance. So that's why sometimes there's a bunch of beautiful grasses growing there and you see them all cut down and stuff. That's because we have to get in there and clean things out and make sure the filters keep working. And then also Prospect Park, we often have this on our larger ponds at the beginning of development. They get overly clogged because there's just a lot more stuff that's kind of running through the system. So we're not reshaping them. We're not tearing everything down. But if you've seen Prospect Park ponds kind of take a facelift over the last 60 days, that's because we're going back through there and essentially rebuilding the last 15% of this so that they all function properly. Landscaping along McKinney Falls. This one, I don't want to be called a liar, but I know the last 2 townhomes I said, man, this job's about to start. And it hasn't, because every time we thought they were there with Travis County, we weren't. But we now have every permit and we've had our pre-con. And sometime within the next few weeks, you're going to see a facelift start on those medians that are on McKinney Falls out to our western border. And then a couple different comments on trails. We're still looking at a cost-effective way and a code-compliant way to do lighting. There's a lot of the creeks and areas where we would like, we've had requests for lights, but we can't actually permit it, put electric stuff inside those creek areas and things like that. But if we can find a low voltage way to do it effectively, that'll hold up and won't cost, $20 million. No kidding. That's the cost I got from Bluebonnet to actually run on all of our trails. I know it sounds crazy, but we're working on it. And we can find a way to do it, we will. If you think you need a pet waste station anywhere along the trails, please mark it on a map and send it to the HOA. We have a Connex container full of extra pet waste stations, and we don't want to just put them everywhere, but at the same time, it's better for users to say, hey, here's where there's a gap where you walk around and you don't find one. Now, if you say you just want one outside your house because you're too lazy to take it to your own house, we're not going to put them everywhere. But if there is a void somewhere, just bring it to our attention and we'll go stick one up right away. Okay. And then water fountains, that's another crazy thing with the plumbing code. You can't actually put them in convenient spots as much as you would think, but we are starting to try to layer those into our plans at the beginning to get more water fountains. So we kind of found a hack how we think we can get to that, but it's taken a little bit to kind of retroactively go and put those in. And there's a lot of restrictions because it's drinking water. It's a lot of hoops to jump through to do things that should be simple. And then finally, I showed this picture. I don't know if you can tell where this is. I zoom around on Google Maps nonstop, so this makes perfect sense to me. This is on our southern side. And somebody said, hey, are y'all extending the trail network? So what we did down there is we put a sewer line in. That's a requirement to get put in before we can start Slaughter Lane. And all the sewer lines require a road to access them so they can service them. What we do here is instead of building a crappy road, we build a nice big concrete path. So then the maintenance road doubles as our trail system. So since we've already put the sewer line, that's why you see a concrete path kind of heading down the south part of our subdivision, and it doesn't quite connect. There's some places where it's just rocks. That's where slaughter is going to be. So we didn't pour concrete there. We're going to pull the rocks out and put slaughter in. We're actually going to go under it with the trail. And obviously it doesn't cross Sassman right now because we haven't rebuilt Sassman. So it's just kind of a future proofing thing that we got to hit on since we already needed to build it. So that's why you have a trail to nowhere. But that's kind of our mentality around here is anytime we can repurpose something we have to build for y'all's benefit, we're going to do that. Next slide. And then our favorite subject, traffic. So every single thing that I say here is what I know to be the truth. And anything that you scratch your head and go, man, why is this way? I encourage you to be a part of the meeting that Colleen said she's setting up with the county and ask them directly anything that you have further questions about. I encourage you to be a part of that meeting and ask those people. Our traffic network, we have one of the best traffic engineers in town. No kidding. She is respected amongst everyone. And she's the one that's laying out everything and deciding stuff for us. There's questions of whether or not we anticipated the number of people that live at Easton or traffic for this or that or whatever. Yes, we're really good at what we do. And their traffic engineer that we have is really good at what she does. So we're building roads to the capacities that they're supposed to be built based on code. Also meeting agreements that we have with the county. They've dictated how we're going to build and at what classification, how wide, how whatever, because everything that Brookfield builds that's a road, we then hand over to Travis County. So they have 100% say in what we do and how we build stuff. So this is their plan that we have some say that we can, but essentially we're carrying out their plan for them. That's not to say that there's not going to be some growing pains. There's questions of what happens when Slaughter's under construction and Sassman's under construction and McKinney Falls and Thaxton are under construction all at the same time. If that's the case, there's traffic control plans for all of them, but that's part of being on the edge of town where there's more construction happening. So I'm not saying there's not going to be growing pains, but we're gonna work through it as it happens and try to get as many of these roads open as we can. Parking in the bike lanes. Man, let me tell you what, I've talked to the two groups, Travis County Roads and the Sheriff's Office, and they say two different things. So again, we have two meetings, one's with the sheriff, one's with Travis County Roads. Please participate in those and ask them, because I cannot get a straight answer out of whether or not they'll write tickets, whether or not they can put up signs, whether or not you can or cannot park legally. So please talk with them. Stop signs are only allowed by warrant. I explained this. If you think about it, if there's a large road and then there's a minor road that hits it, there has to be so much traffic coming off the minor road that it warrants stopping the major road where all the traffic is. So when we want to do stop signs, somebody has to go out there and count cars coming from all four directions. And the ratio has to be such that they will put stop signs in there. So there's a lot of times where y'all ask me about stop signs and I go, it's not going to be warranted. That's because we've already been out there counting and we're so far below the count that they won't let us put them in. Now, when apartments get opened, when other things get developed and there's more traffic, we will definitely go back to that and see if we can't get counts that allow us to put stop signs. Travis County is adverse to stop signs. So we are pushing for as many as we can. We just have to legally get them warranted to do so. They're also adverse to crossings, especially in a mid-block. So getting mid-block crossings, we've been pushing real hard for crossing over here by Union Park over to Union Park West. And then also across it from Model Row over to the apartments into Union Village. We're still fighting that good fight to get those repainted, and where they're not, get them painted, more signs, lights if possible. It's all up to them and us lobbying as hard as we can to get those crossings there. So we're trying to do that, but that's just something they're not a fan of. The response to school zones and speed limits around Fulton Bluff and around the school, what you see is they think the problem's been done or been solved. All the speed limit signs that got put up right before the school started, all the new crosswalks, the new signage, the new paint on the pavement, that is them saying we have solved this problem. So if you feel that any of the existing situation is inadequate, then lobby to them that you need something better there. But in their minds, they have come and looked at it, they have studied it, and they put in all that stuff. So they believe that this is a final state of how it should look. On Finial Drive, we mentioned this before. At one point, Coda Vista, which you'll see if you're in Prospect or if you'll see on William Cannon, kind of comes and it doesn't join. We are working through a ownership issue, but we have gotten through that. So we hope to have that connection made by mid next year. And when that happens, it's going to cut off Finial. It's going to cut the traffic that cuts from 1625 down Finial, which we believe is going to slow down traffic because there's not going to be as much through traffic. Regardless if it happens or not, Travis County is not going to act on Finial until that connection's made. So until it gets to more of a final state, they're like, we do not want to come and look at it right now. Call us when you're done. So we're going to do that when it's done. They've actually said this comment, watch out for speed studies. County does them weird. They come out and they record how fast the cars move, and then they take an average of it. So there's a chance that they come out and they witness people speeding, and they go, well, I guess this is a 50-mile-an-hour road. That's what it should be. So they actually, no kidding, said that in response to is, be careful what you wish for because it might get worse. That's a great question to ask them during the meeting.
That's just not our county, by the way. That's
That's-
literally every county in every state.
It's a
In
lot
this
of
country.
rural.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah,
It's I've done a lot of speed studies and I have bitten my own mouth off because of that. I thought it was going to slow it down. And they go, no, the average speed is 45, not 35. So it should be 45. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we are fighting for some other ways that we can try to slow down traffic with maybe some striping or some other kind. I mean, we're throwing all kinds out there, ways to try to slow down Finial technically. So Travis County doesn't want a single speed bump in there. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's it.
And you won't either.
So I mean, we're doing what we can, but of course, that's again, lobby your elected officials, come to that meeting, talk to people and try to express your needs there. Cardinal Bloom, we got kind of the same situation. Cardinal Bloom is the intersection that comes out of Bryant Park. It's very difficult if you want to get out of it coming from the south and headed east in the morning. I know I've watched people try to do it. A few things there, nothing's going to happen there until it's in its final state. Brookfield will open those 4 lanes once the city finishes their expansion on west outside of our property. So until that happens, we can't open those 4. And until we don't get the 4 lanes opened, we can't then warrant it for a traffic signal. And once that happens, then we're allowed to build the traffic signal. So I think their project, they said, was till the end of 2026. And the county said that they came out and observed that intersection and that they feel that it works fine. So there's the feedback there. So just being transparent, that's the feedback. Apogee and Chrysler, we're going to try to do some speed studies there on Apogee to see if we can get other speed limits there or on Chrysler as well. Stop signs, we've already kind of dipped our toe in the water with the stop signs on Apogee and Osblick at that intersection. It's not going to warrant right now, but we're going to keep looking at that one because we also think that one could use a stop sign actually. And all those streets belong to the county. So as far as that bumpiness and the flooding issue, it's all stuff that has to be ran to the county. So we're trying to work with them to get that resolved, but it's not our street to do anything with.
Actually, I sent in a work order to them and the spot where was flooding by 8,900 or so.
Mhm.
And they said that they gave me a work order number. So,
It's true. We had one out here behind Union Village or Union Park East, and we got a work order and then they said it was going to take them a while. And then we found a loophole where we could get out there and do it, but we can't on the Apogee. So it's a start. So
She just said about the work order.
she said that she did call and put it in and they've given her a work order. So now it is in a queue to get resolved. And then finally, 1625 plans. We are looking to remove a chunk of 1625 where it comes off where McKenzie Road is. And it would get replaced with the chunk of Slaughter that takes 1625 out to 183. So in the future, because we're expanding into that area that's along 183, in the future state, we're hoping that that piece of 1625 goes away so that we have a contiguous Easton Park and it's not bifurcated with a state highway. But everything points towards that working out, but man, we're a long way for spiking that football. So we're going to keep working on that. And it's going to take a couple of years we got to build Slaughter to relieve that traffic, and then we'll work at getting that out of right away abandoned. So those are all the updates I had tonight. Appreciate y'all listening.
So, portion, please just raise your hand. We do have to remind, we have a lot of people online. So when you guys ask the question, we're going to repeat it. Danny's going to repeat it. It's got a great place. It's right there. to the people online, and then the guys will answer it. So that's the process, okay? So first question.
I'm gonna go first. So I have a repeat question. I see that everyone's done such a great job building parks and Skyline Park and all these events and all this stuff. But this summer I could not use the pool. And I have asked this question for a year. There is no shade at the pool. I should be able to use my pool in the summer. Skyline Park is open to the public, but I can't even use my pool. So I don't understand why there's no shade. Nothing.
So,
And we live in Texas, so.
Yeah, let them know
So-
the question.
yes. So question was about the pool, there not being a shade at the pool, at the amenity center, umbrellas specifically.
And we've been looking at, we, being me and a couple of guys from Brookfield, have been looking at different shades, putting in something solid, trying different, we looked at a lot of different things so far, and we're just not happy with what we found so far, but I am really adamant that we're gonna get this figured out by February, so we can have it in place for this next summer. If we don't have a permanent shade structure, we may go back to umbrellas, but there's gonna be something. So no worries.
We
You're
can
gonna have it.
definitely afford it. Our dues have gone up. And we have a park that's open to the public. It costs millions of dollars. So if someone here couldn't use the pool in the summer, and I don't think I should have to clip on an umbrella or drag anything with me. I should be able to just
Yeah,
walk.
if you wanna have something that's safe and that works good for someone like,
There has to be
Yeah,
something.
so I'm on it.
Okay, I don't want to come back to this town hall.
No, I don't
Talk
want
to
to
you,
either.
they're saying this again. Okay, that's all I have to say.
What's the expectations for cleaning the roads of construction debris periodically? So I've already had to replace a couple of tires. So it seems like they're not really cleaned up at all until all the construction work is done. I don't want to keep putting the bill for new tires.
Okay, so question was, what are the expectations for cleaning the roads after work has been done or as it's being done? And there's a comment about another resident having a punch card at the location where she repairs her tires because of the frequency of which the tires are needing to be repaired.
As a matter of fact, I had to replace mine today. I had a screw off the neighborhood, the Downton Village.
And another resident echoes that sentiment. Lots of head
So-
nods.
So I know that the streets get regularly swept weekly in spots anywhere where it's under development. This is what's gonna happen with the neighborhood that's under construction. I know it stinks. We are out there sweeping on a regular basis. I know because I'm paying the bills for it. It's happening on a very regular basis in all the neighborhoods that are under construction right now. We can always look at increasing. I'll make a note to audit exactly where it's going because there's some agreements we have with some of the other builders that maybe they're not honoring quite what they're supposed to be doing, but I can make sure that that happens. So let me just look at our maps again, and there's a chance that they're doing stuff at Nelson Village, but then they're dragging something out to Finial, and technically maybe they don't think Finial's part of theirs or something like that. So let me look in that to make sure, but I can tell you we are out there actively sweeping. So outside of everyone out there manually sweeping every day afterwards, which they're not going to do, it's as good as we're going to get under a new neighborhood that's under development. And it stinks because trust me, we all drive around it as well, and we also replace tires because of that. So.
So hand up.
This month was my first year anniversary. And so any issues that I had, I would engage the Brookfield, right? So, but now that it's not like the Union Village color was not on here, so I don't know. My fence is starting to rust, so I want to paint it, right? So I don't know what the color is. Also, I'm getting water that's gushing from the sprinkler. My grass is dying. I didn't notice until the other day. It's been there for the 4 years. There was a pink flag. So the builder told me, oh, they were supposed to fix it. That's what the pink flag is. Like, well, it's been there for a year. So they told me to engage the HOA, but how do I do that for those colors? And for stuff like that, right?
Okay, so comment was about their resident 1-year anniversary hit. So the relationship with the builder is now switching over to HOA in regards to concerns about their home repairs or updates such as iron fence needing to be painted due to rust and also water leaks, if I'm understanding.
So just to be clear, this is a condo. This is not a single family home. So single family home, you fix your own stuff. Condos, they pay to have irrigation and things like that fixed. So just want to make sure that's very clear for everybody online as well. Don't call the HOA if you have a broken sprinkler head in your front lawn if you're in a single family home, because they won't be able to help you. Village. And sorry to cut off the questioning because I completely forgot that we didn't even talk about Union Park East during our board meetings. So Union Park East and Union Village are one large condo association. Normally we do a board meeting tonight as well for the budget, but there's no change. So there's no increase, nothing like that. So we're not legally required to have a board meeting. So we'll do an online vote just as the board to say budget's approved, then Colleen will send that out. So thank you for telling me you're in the condos, or else I would have completely forgot about that. And the condos would have been calling going, what's our HOA dues? So the HOA dues for the condos, Union Park East specifically and Union Village, Union Park West is different. This increase for the master applies to you, but your second association dues that you pay, those are not increasing. They're staying the same.
I saw your hand up and then in red. Okay, the question was for when the lanes on William Cannon will open and when the retail around it will also open.
Okay.
Do you want to go back a slide? It was in the presentation here.
Yeah, well, there's two other details that I can provide there. There is a momentary closure of just a few whenever, if you go to the east side of William Cannon, closer to 183, you'll see we're doing a lot of construction over there. That's where we have 2 multifamily units going in, and we have Primrose Daycare, and we have 2 other commercial tracks. One, we do not have anyone planned yet. One we do, but I'm not ready to share that yet, along there. And so when they're doing the road work right now, there's times they're tying into there, so they will stop a lane for, a day or something like that. So that's going to be on and off over the next, let's just call it 3 weeks. And then we're done there. And then the lanes that are behind us that are over by the CVS, that's all dependent on the city doing their widening west of our property. Once they turn that into 4 lanes, we'll be able to open those 2 lanes in front of CVS that are never open. So that's kind of the timeline on that.
And then these are all the businesses that we have right now.
So these are all the ones that are sitting right over there by the CVS.
Yeah.
And then anything that's west of us, I don't know the exact list of what I know that we shared it last time, that if you go online, you can see for yourself that Chick-fil-A put in a permit. So that's what I'm allowed to say.
It's not our property.
It's not our property. So it's that, and there's a dental office and a coffee shop. So that's stuff that's off of our property that's happening. HEB owns the corner that's not on our property, and we call them every 6 months and say, hey, you coming? And they're like, well, not yet. And once we are, we'll tell you. So we're waiting and seeing.
Gentleman in red, yes.
Yeah, we live on Apogee, and I submitted a question last time about flooding, and it was answered. The question, that was the answer we got, but that wasn't the problem around it. The water doesn't overflow from Apogee onto the property. It flows between our houses onto Apogee, and it stays on the sidewalk for
Yeah.
days, and then it muds, and then it rains, and then it muds.
Mhm.
And it's kind of dangerous, it's ugly, the ugliest sidewalks in Easton Park. And, you know, that specifically the sidewalks were not addressed when I got a response. There was some flooding on Apogee, but that's not causing the water to retain on sidewalks. Because the water drainage is fine. In the drains on Apogee, it's gone right away. But the water stays in the sidewalks for days.
So a resident brought up a concern about flooding on Apogee. That the answer that was given today was the answer that they received, but that is not the concern. Rather, it is that there is flooding that is happening on the street
Wait, no, I'm very familiar with this.
sidewalks.
It's actually, yeah, it's sitting on the sidewalks before it gets there. It's something that we're gonna look into. We couldn't until Apogee got accepted by the county. And that happened within the last 60 days that we were legally allowed to. We had to let some things play out and the sidewalks and the road get accepted by them. There's stuff that we couldn't make any actions on it. I actually just sat down with my PM today and said, hey, so can we now go back and get this thing fixed? We looked at a couple different spots. Some of it was over irrigation. Some of it, I'm not sure if your builders graded correctly to make it get out.
The builder didn't want to. First.
Right, and we're gonna see if there still needs to be some daylighting or something like that. So I don't know what the answer is for you, but I want you to know that, like, no kidding, this afternoon, I actually had a conversation about, all right, now that we've gotten through all the legal stuff with the county, since that's the right of way, technically, that sidewalk, we're gonna try to find some solution there and get you an answer.
Gentleman back there.
Thank you very much for the town hall and having the opportunity to ask some questions here. It was a great presentation, so, with that, when I heard the nail thing, I might just recommend, that perhaps, because I walk all the time, and so when there was a little more construction going on when we first moved in, I was seeing nails all the time, I'd pick them up. I don't know if you want to throw it in the newsletter or something, and say, hey, when you're walking, you see some nails, pick them up or something like that, just to maybe let them help out with some of that pickup besides the sweepers and all that. But even sweeping pushes the nails sometimes, so it's just it's a tough situation in the construction area. That's not really a question, but it's a comment. My question, one of my questions I have is, City of Austin just changed the water rate recently, over the last few months. And I'm not a fan of grass, so I know that there's a percentage of landscaping that we're only allowed to have. So is there an evaluation of that percentage maybe going up because the rate changes and the water restrictions or the water issues? So I'm just curious if y'all might think about that, going back to this.
So suggestion was made to pick up any nails as you see them around as you're walking around. And then question was asked because the city of water rate increased if with that, what was the supplement? If it increases the
If
zero,
we can increase.
if we can increase.
Oh, I definitely don't know off the top of my head what that percentage is.
I will tell y'all, as we roll out new landscaping projects, we are talking with our landscape architects about using more drought tolerant plants, things that, because that also saves us money if we don't have to run irrigation over to little pockets and stuff like that. I'll tell you right now, the aesthetic here, we are not going full Phoenix xeriscape. We're not going to do all rock lawns and stuff like that, because as much as people say they like that, they don't. Like they like their grass out in front and stuff like that. But we are conscious of the fact that we're going to be under more and more water restrictions. So that's why you're going to see more of the native grass. That, again, people aren't always fans of that, but it helps saves us a lot on water. It's more natural to what actually happens around here. And the different plant palettes that we can use of using more prickly pear and yuccas and stuff like that in different pockets. That is definitely something from the development team that we're moving more towards that. We're talking about already landscaping along our arterials in the south, and we're directing our landscape architects to look at those options. So we're trying to decrease the load there, because also then it's more drought tolerant. So I don't find myself replacing all the plants and stuff if we have a dry summer like we did 2 summers ago.
I see a hand back there.
I was just wondering, I know pace setters it owns the land across Finial, that's in between Boyhaven and Finial. Do you know when they're gonna finally finish that out? It's like, everything around it's built out.
Oh, those two.
Question was, do we know when they are going to finish everything around Finial, specifically Pacesetter?
That, as soon as they sell those houses. That's, yes. We would also like them to.
Sell those two houses. Yes.
Yes.
My last question was, you had brought it up, I'm sorry, so you might have to repeat yourself, sorry. Slaughter, when is that plan to get punched through to go to 183?
Question was, when is the plan for Slaughter to punch through to 183?
We are going to build Slaughter based on the need of when we are activating other pieces of land around Slaughter. So it's going to be a phased approach. It likely will not connect all the way through the day we start. It's going to come out in portions. It's a 2-mile road. It's a huge investment. And so kind of like William Cannon got us to Colton Bluff, and then some lanes got us to 183, and then the full 4. That's how you're going to see it roll out. And that date is something that gets, I've said this before, gets discussed at the highest levels of Brookfield because of the amount of money it takes to do that. And so whenever they're talking about national things and where all our money is going, like Austin region and Slaughter Lane is at the top of the conversation. So as soon as we know something for sure, we'll let you know about that.
So we have some questions online before we kind of wrap up here. The first is, are there any plans for lighting at the Union Park West Park?
Right now, there's not.
Yeah, I think it's so close to those homes, it'd probably be pretty disturbing. And I think that was, I'm looking for my UPW folks that were here when we designed the park. We actually had the folks from Union Park West come and sat in this room with us, and we designed that park with them and their suggestions. So, and I think lighting was a concern that was brought up. So I don't think we'll be putting any lighting out there. The next one is, you mentioned the high cost operating cost for the incredible Skyline Park. This is open to the public. Did we get any funds from the city, county, or district to offset the costs? Yes. So the MUD pays 25% of the cost to maintain the landscaping, not the amenities. So anything that's built on top of the parks. So the MUD owns all the parks in Easton Park. The only thing the MUD does not own is this building and the land that it sits on. So the MUD owns all the parks, drainage, all of that. So the MUD pays 25% of the cost to maintain the landscaping of those parks, but the association pays 100% for the improvement on the parks. So we have a lease agreement between the MUD and the HOA, where the HOA gets to manage. So, somebody from outside of the community can't come and hold a big party out at Easton Park and any of the parks, because the HOA manages those parks. So that means managing who can use it, when they can use it, how much we charge for it, all that type of stuff. They can't come and reserve it. Yeah, of course, it's a public park. Anybody can come and sit down and have a party. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't want to delve back on that issue. Let me answer the question from this individual. So the district does pay 25%, and you'll see it in the budget. And when you look at the financials, it actually shows you there. It says MUD reimbursables, and it's a pretty big number that comes in. I saw a post that there's a 35 square foot fitness facility coming by CVS. When will we know more? You'll know more when we know more.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a meeting with that broker today and nothing there.
Yeah.
I saw stuff online and I don't know where it came from, because it's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist right now.
Brookfield's traffic engineer is great, but William Cannon and Slaughter are a nightmare. Do you coordinate with the city?
Do we coordinate with the city all day, every day? William Cannon, I mean, it's a 4-lane road. It works right now, and Slaughter right now does not exist at Easton Park. So there's Slaughter that is not on our property, and I think it's horrific. And we make our We often complain about it, and even though like it's not ours, we bring it up, because if you've ever driven by Goodnight Ranch and gone by the Idea School in the morning, it's awful, but it's completely out of our control.
So that was it for online. I'll take one more in-person question. Yes.
A privacy fence, a pergola in a very, very small yard, right? Because I think it's done really, really badly, right? And to be honest, I don't understand why the volunteer committee, whoever those volunteers are, actually approved this, right? To begin with, the structure can be seen from the street. The structure can be seen from 2 houses away. And then from my house, it covers all the way end to end of my yard, I say, right? So I understand this HOA. I'm pretty sure they're volunteers, yes, completely understand that. But I think the decision-making process that they've done needs to be checked, right? Because I think it's really disgraceful, for that matter, that I'm gonna be boxed in all of these things that's happening, right? So, I mean, to be honest, I don't wanna say this in public, but I've never been so frustrated in my life, right? Up until this construction behind my backyard took really, really fast, right? And it's such a disappointment, right? Because I thought, right, the HOA is there for the community, not for an individual or couple, right? Whatever that is, right? Aesthetic is so bad, right? Architecture is going to diminish my property value and everything else, right? So I'd like to challenge the HOA, volunteer committee's decision to begin with. Why was this even approved, right? We don't need to discuss this in public, but I just want to say this of my frustration in my own community in this government, right? I've never seen this colossal structure in that neighborhood. And for the first time, you can see it, and I have photos to see it. If you want to see, I have it, right? Thank you.
Okay. We're not going to respond to that at this meeting. This is a town hall. This isn't a board meeting, so there's nothing. I'm happy to listen. You could come up afterwards if you want. We could chat about it. Any question about the community? Last one. Yes.
So the question is explain more on how finial is going to be cut off. So the finial, is going to dead end into Coda Vista. It's going to stop there.
So no connection from 83 on that. We live right there at that end of.
That will still, so Flatbush as it is, will be a little way out. So if people work themselves through there, they can. But what we're looking at is people are likely to just hit William Cannon and come down Coda. So it's still gonna. That little street of Flatbush that then hits Finial and Finial where the lift station's at, those 2 roads are gonna stay there because that's the access. But those little pieces are gonna be there. And if we can ever sever that off completely based on other stuff we can do with 1625, we'll try to, so that there's no actual way you can cross through there. But right now, all that belongs to the county and we can't sever it completely. Yep.
It's convenient right now.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you. See, that I really love this neighborhood. You guys done a great job, and I'm excited about the new stuff to come.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Don't forget. Give my great. Yeah.